Hello everyone and welcome back. Ward here bringing you yet another full album review. It's been a while since I've done one of these. The first and last one I did was 72 Seasons by Metallica. You can check it out. Today we're looking at a not so new release. I know I'm too late. I never got to do this one right after it came out. It is the 2022 release by the greatest rival of Metallica, the Sick, the Dying, and the Dead by Megadeth. And just before we begin, I want to acknowledge the fact that this band, in spite of everything it has gone through, especially Dave, is still going strong, sounding great in studio, kind of decent on stage. It's way better than it's supposed to be by now, that's what I think. Alright, so first of all, from the outside, the album cover. Well, it's great. It's a bit similar to Peace Cells and So Far So Good So What. Looks like an outlaw figure in a Red Dead game or something. I've never played any of them really. It's cool and everything, but I don't really like the colors. Even the logo isn't very visible and I don't think it's eye-catching or attractive enough. I think they've had much better ones. Now the actual music. First up, the title track. I love the mysteriousness and darkness of the intro. Whoever is this man yelling, "Bring out your dead," really intrigues me to dive deep into the subject, because the listener can't tell what it is yet. The lightly distorted riff is really setting the vibe of this maybe post-apocalyptic village or town that's been ruined forever. That's how it feels for me right now. Also, it's recorded in a way that makes it sound like a dialogue between the two guitars. It goes right and then it goes left. Great idea. Then it gets slower and slower and builds up until the whole band explodes into it. Chills already. They give us a very nicely harmonized riff, Megadeth style. They're using unparalleled harmonies and even dissonances. By the way, this riff reminded me of Skullfist. You know Skullfist? The band with the 80s sound? They play very similar riffs. Go check them out. Mr. Dave Mustaine joins in and my god, he sounds more wicked than ever. Another review I read somewhere said the cantankerous old devil is back, and that is like the perfect way to describe Dave Mustaine. I'm glad he's still able to sing decent in-key melodies, although there are moments on the record where he doesn't, but it's understandable. I like the way the lines are written, they all end with yeah, yeah, and then Kiko Loureiro responds to each line with a cool little guitar lick. Now we know the song is about a real-life plague called Black Death. Look it up if you want. It's very relevant now, unfortunately, typical Megadeth topic. Now something happens all of a sudden that I don't really like, this sudden transition into an interlude with a more dark ambient feel. It's good, but I don't think it should have been done so soon, especially with that amount of contrast, because at this point, I just want more of the same, and I didn't get enough. And I want to give more praise to Dave Mustaine here. Holy shit, he's so good at this. He sounds like a zombie. Perfectly matching the vibe. Also making use of acoustic guitars, which is great, bonus for diversity. We're back on track, and it feels like when you're playing a racing or runner game and you go through one of those portals into a different world, and then you go back to the original. There's a very good bridge in a different key, then nice drum fill into a variation of the main riff. Then we have another harmonized riff, and this song so far has a huge Rust in Peace vibe. Mostly reminded me of Hangar 18 and Tornado of Souls. Awesome guitar solo by Kiko Loureiro, making great use of intervals between what the rhythm guitars are playing and what Kiko is playing. It's simple but effective, and it climaxes beautifully. The outro is great, Dave screeching die, 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 and Kiko, just like in the verses, responding to him with cool guitar licks. The song ends with the chorus, great climax. The song ends with the chorus, great climax. You know what? Megadeth are very good at wrapping up songs. Great song, great opener. The listener is very satisfied already. Song number 2 is Life in Hell. Tough, punchy intro. I absolutely love that riff. The vocals join in at 10 seconds, straight to the point, no long introduction. Definitely thrashier than the title track. There's a very nice kind of jazzy drum transition between the verse and the pre-chorus, which has a riff equally as good as the one in the intro. I like how the lyrics at the end of the pre-chorus and those starting the chorus are like one sentence, not two, and you'll say I'm a disease. I think that really serves the continuity and consistency of the lyrics and really maintains the listener's attention. Also, the chorus is really sharp as a knife. Really good solo afterwards, and you know what? Kiko is really considerate of the beat and rhythm underneath his solos. That really enhances the entire music. I like how there's no second verse, they just skip it and go into the pre chorus. It's a good move. The pace is really great so far, and then it all culminates so intensely. This time, Megadeth did it better. I feel like I've had enough thrash, and now I'm more welcoming of what's about to come. Derek Verbeeren gives us a swing beat, and you know, we're in for an interlude. This one's better because there's not much contrast, plus the riff is really evil, and I want to say, there's already a good number of evil riffs on this record. Nice spoken words on top. I'll tell you what, Dave's choice of vocals is excellent. The way the interlude transitions into yet another pre-chorus is just wow. I did not see this coming. Although something like this is not easy to pull off, neither in studio or on stage, they did it well enough. I cannot get enough of that outro, so freaking good. And by the way, Megadeth has done this type of intro many times. It's on Peace Cells, Trust, and I'm sure there's more. It's that repetition of the chorus over and over till the climax. This one also has that same jazzy drum fill at the end, which is a nice final touch. Number 3, Night Stalkers featuring Ice-T. I mean, honestly, I imagined Dave was gonna rap and Ice-T was gonna go and Megadeth was gonna do some hip-hop and go Risk all over again. Calm down. None of that happened. It was actually quite a good collab. Let's go through it. I like the revving and vrooming sounds, setting the tone at the start, right before some wicked, straight-to-the-point vocals. Would have loved it too if it was without the sounds, just Dave right in your face. So Dave begins, guitars immediately follow with a hellish riff that reminds me a bit of Flight of the Bumblebee. Not the first Megadeth riff to do so. Drums join in, another thrash, audio beatdown. I gotta say, I love the melodies that Dave is singing right before the pre-chorus. They're, what's another word for intimidating? Alarming, that's it. Just like the whole vibe. Kiko again with an on-point transition. I tip my hat to this man. The chorus is okay, but it feels a little forced, maybe. I don't think it really fits with what came before or what's coming after it. I mean, halftime rhythm and the vocals, like I said, sound a little bit forced. Right after the second chorus is what you've been waiting for. The music slows down, calming of the storm, and here comes Ice-T. I can't believe I'm hearing rap over a Megadeth song. Gotta say, he sounded good. He matched the energy and theme of the song. Some might even say he boosted it. And they didn't have to turn the whole song upside down for him. I'll be honest, I wasn't so optimistic when I knew who was featured, but after hearing this, it's quite good. Then there's Dave's part afterwards. Is it a sin that I find Ice-T's part better? I don't know. It feels unnecessary, or maybe they didn't know what to do next. Another good solo, back to the chorus. All of a sudden it pauses, and then we have an acoustic guitar. Let's go a little further before we judge this. Some strings join in, it slows down, and there's a bass solo. Apparently this interlude is the transition into the final verse. Now, was this whole part necessary after the rapping and everything? I feel too overwhelmed at this point, and I feel this could have been arranged in a better way. Maybe the interlude first, then the rap part would have been smoother and shorter overall, because to me this song is a bit too long. That's all. Oh, I almost forgot, that bass solo. What the hell was that? Now, I know who the hell that was. That was Steve DiGiorgio, the guy who played on Individual Thought Patterns. I love this guy. He's incredible, but that was completely underwhelming. Way less than I had expected after hearing Steve was gonna be on this record. The song continues, and I'm glad they found an alternative finish to it, a solo instead of just another chorus. It's a very good song overall, with some unnecessary parts. Number 4, Dogs of Chernobyl. I know there's a lot to talk about here. Now first, have I ever told you how much I hate the sound of children laughing in songs? Everybody uses that same sound effect. Anyway, I want to talk about that gorgeous riff. I'm sure Kiko came up with it. Always the impossible acoustic riffs are his. Such a wonderful riff. I forced myself to learn it. Now the verse. Here's probably the one thing I genuinely hate about Megadeth. And this has happened a lot on their most recent releases. They write beautiful intros. They get all of your attention and you just want to hear what's next, and then they f it up. They play a shitty ass riff, a drum beat that kills the vibe, and Dave sings in a weird way like he doesn't know what he's saying or doing. Sometimes this happens when the intro is melodic and slow like this one. It's like they do the intro and then they run out of ideas. I don't know, maybe this is not really their thing. The chorus is fine, another solo. I don't like the pause afterwards, just not the best idea. I'm starting to think that if the drum beat was more straight and regular, my thoughts would have been much different. Second chorus ends and whoa, double bass. They're going somewhere else with this. They just said, F it, what the hell are we doing? Wow, they're about to redeem themselves, huh? The vocals could have been a little better. Guitar solos after each verse. This and the outro reminded me of Fatal Illusion, which is very nice. At the very end, there's a drum fill very similar to those on Life in Hell. What a song. I have mixed feelings of disappointment and satisfaction. That's all I got to say. Next up, Sacrifice. Oh my god. This is when Megadeth has no idea what to do and just plays random ass cliche riffs. The verse is meh, more of the same. Although I like the short riff right after, and you know what? The riff underneath the vocals is good too. The chorus unfortunately doesn't make it up for you. It's underwhelming. Another solo. This is where I have to admit an overly repeated pattern. I love Kiko. I don't think he could possibly play badly, not even if he wanted to. But there are too many solos on this record. Every time Dave sings a couple words, there's a solo afterwards. They're all amazing, but too many. And it's nothing new actually, Megadeth's always been like that. Anyway, I welcome the addition of bongos and chimes afterwards. Never a bad time for those. The rest of the song is just typical Megadeth. It's an underwhelming song overall, feels like a filler. Things are getting even weirder with number 6, Junkie. Although I do not like the verse, the pre-chorus and chorus are surprisingly very enjoyable and catchy. I'm not gonna talk anymore about the short solos in between lines. There's spoken word that sounds sampled, not sure, but spoken word reminds me of the album Countdown of Extinction. The song ends fast, maybe that was the best choice. It's an okay song. Psychopathy is a short track that serves as a transition into the next song. Nice tribal beat at the beginning, guitar noises setting the tone, spoken word again, I think it creates interest. The noise at the end reminds me of the Fatal Illusion intro. These guys just can't stop referencing their older songs. In comes Killing Time. The intro is just what I wanted. Again, straight to the point, no warm up, no prep, no nothing. Just get to it. Simple but effective riff, love the tritone in the vocals, and how Dave perfectly chooses when to sing and when not to sing. I'm not sure what that's called, but it's nice. The chorus is fine vocally, the riff underneath is very good and simple, and the intervals between the guitars and the vocals are very nice and bluesy. Again, in the second verse, the lyrics and the way they're sung are well thought out. There's a good acoustic bridge and build up into the solo, although we've heard that multiple times so far. The solo is so sweet and simple at the beginning, I like the modulation afterwards, but the return to the original key is a bit abrupt. Another thrust outro which is okay, and then a nice breakdown with some unsettling vocals and a delightful solo on top. Kind of a blend between the thrust outro and the Sweating Bullets breakdown, isn't it? Good wrap up, very good song. Track number 9, Soldier On. This one's a big highlight. I want to focus a little bit on the intro. It's good, swingy, and theme matching, but it reminds me a little bit of that other song, you know, right? Anyway, again, good choice of intervals, but that guitar lick thing, I mean, enough. He's done it on pretty much every song so far. Is it just me, or is there really some teasing and references in the lyrics? I want to point out something. Kudos to Dave Mustaine for singing those high notes that he hasn't sung in probably years. This is a man who has defeated throat cancer and gone through a lot before that, yet he can still push himself to G4. Huge respect. That's a well-written chorus. Riff, solo, lyrics, vocals, all good, and the way it ends is fine too. By the way, I believe this song recalls the instrumental Into the Lungs of Hell multiple times in the lyrics and in the solos. Loving it. The whole chaos on this track just screams so far so good so what. I gotta give some credit to the drummer here, he's killing it with those fills. Now the first half of the solo, that's the reference to Into the Lungs of Hell I was talking about. And then the second half of it has a riff underneath it that sounds a lot like the one underneath the Kingmaker solo. Totally digging the references. Nice transition into the final chorus, no stretching, no unnecessary stuff, just right back to it. They repeat the chorus in halftime with another delightful solo on top. Very good song. Celebutante is next. I needed a cleaner intro after all of that chaos. It's okay, but you know Megadeth is not gonna give you a long break before they throw you back into the pits. They hit you with some good old British heavy metal riffing that sounds a lot like Kill the King by Rainbow. Unfortunately, it's another random, impulsive mega mess. The verse is not so good, the lyrics are confusing, and the add-ons are just not what I want to hear on a Megadeth song. Not the first time this happens. The chorus is not that good either, this feels like another filler. Maybe this would have been a better song if it had been on a different album with a different theme, or maybe by a different band. Because it's got potential, it's got some good parts in the second verse and in the chorus. There's not enough cohesion between all of that and the bridge that's next. Does the riff remind you too of Fallen Brother by Creator? Now that's a very beautiful bridge. It's getting better with the vocals and the guitars. But then they break it off too soon and go back to the madness. I wish that was longer. That's a very beautiful solo, but it's interrupted again by the random deranged riff. And there's another great solo, but I'm not satisfied. I think it's a poorly arranged song. Number 10 is Mission to Mars. I love the ambient intro. I think it really fits Megadeth. Keyboards, I think, with bass, great mixture. The flow is great with the guitars and drums. I love the sound of spaceship doors being opened and that bass in the background. Totally setting the tone. Reminds me of the Hangar 18 video. Nice verse, I was afraid they were gonna mess it up, but no, they avoided making the same mistake. Nice backing vocals too. Very good pre-chorus. Perfect example of less is more. And I'm focusing on the vocals here. He's not overdoing it or exaggerating. The chorus is good, they gave it the extra energy it needs, but I wish it was longer, because it ends fast and transitions straight into the second verse, which is also good. This time I'm giving them a pass for silly add-ons. This time the chorus is as long as I wanted it to be. Whoa, that bridge put a smile on my face. The dialogue, which we've heard before in Megadeth songs, and the perfect ambience underneath, and then he says, why don't we just return to Earth and let her rest in peace out here? Wow, this is gonna need some interpretation. Let's skip it for now. We have a very welcome interlude. See, this is the kind of build-up you need before you traumatize your listeners with a plot twist like that. Wow, this is such a thrilling dialogue with a reference that totally caught me off guard. Go ahead and listen to it. He says, we have found a new way and you're the first in line. Wow, what an outro. I felt like I was listening to Mars, the Bringer of War, while watching a space movie and there's a big bag of chips in my hands. Great song, great climax. Finally, the main event, ladies and gentlemen, will be back. Of course, I'm only gonna briefly talk about the two remaining tracks because they're covers. Now, this song begins with a vengeful, sharp as a knife riff. Sounds like the threat is real. They're going full speed, it's a thrash finale. The verse is just in your face, violent, disturbing lyrics, and has been compared to Good Morning Black Friday. No pre-chorus, straight into a decent chorus with a nice pause at the end. On this track, Megadeth is sounding more confident than ever. I think this is the first and only time Dave joins Kiko on lead guitar on this record. From the second verse onwards, things get more and more intense. This is great so far. After the second chorus is the best part. I think it's the best thing on this whole record. It's that sick ass riff. Chills. I don't think anybody expected this song to go in this direction. This riff, however, has been compared by some, including myself, to Disposable Heroes by Metallica. I think it's a tease. I don't think it's unintentional. It's just too similar. And then things get even crazier. A breakdown. This is a different version of Megadeth. When was the last time you heard them play that kind of breakdown? I myself don't think I ever have. It's a super evil riff with a wicked as solo on top, just like the entirety of the song. Wow, what a way to wrap up a song. They totally killed it. The two remaining tracks are Police Truck and This Planet's on Fire, covers of Dead Kennedys and Sammy Hagar respectively. They're both good additions to the record with very relevant topics both on this record and in today's world, unfortunately. Done with the tracks, let's talk about general peaks and valleys. This is where I compare the album to the band's previous effort, Dystopia. First of all, the sound. It's improved, less exhausting, and more tolerable. I'd say it's mostly similar to the Endgame sound. On Dystopia, the guitars were a bit too much, kinda muddy. They were heavy but not good heavy. That's how I can describe them. It's just hard to sit through the whole record without getting ear fatigue. And it's not like the new one won't give you ear fatigue. It will, but it's not the guitars. It's something else I'll talk about in a minute. The guitars, like I said, are less exhausting to hear and didn't lose any of that signature Megadeth abrasiveness. I love the kick, punchy enough. The snare and toms are fine too. Now the bass. I'm gonna say it sounds alright since we barely got to hear it. I'll talk about that more too. I love the way Dave's vocals are produced, especially during parts where the vocals had a lot to do with setting the tone. Alright, track listing. By the end of Night Stalkers, I had heard too much thrash. I wish Life in Hell was the opening, followed by the title track, then Night Stalkers. Then there are Dogs of Chernobyl, Sacrifice, and Junkie, which I think should have been lower and replaced by Mission to Mars, Psychopathy, Killing Time, and Soldier On. Then we got the less impressive tracks, Dogs, Sacrifice, Junkie, and Celebutante. Will Be Back remains as the powerful and most appropriate climax. Arrangement is great on some songs, not so good on other ones. Songs like Life in Hell, Soldier On, and Will Be Back are untouchable. Others like The Title and Night Stalkers are great songs too that deserved better arrangement. Now what is with the infinite solos? I hope the royalties will cover this man's arthritis surgery. Look, I've said this earlier, there is not a single bad solo on this record, but there are too many. Dave sings a line, solo. Dave sings a chorus, solo. Enough already! This pattern gets too repetitive, but I'm not gonna deny the fact that every single one of them is very well thought out. Let's talk about writing and composition. This album has a very good number of impressive riffs, such as the ones on the first 4 tracks. The less impressive songs like Junkie and Sacrifice have some cliche riffs, especially Chromatics. The lyrics are dark as hell on most tracks, really evil and supporting the theme of the album. Others like Celebutante have some weird and cringy lines. I wish Dirk played a larger number of distinct and outstanding drum fills. He does play some, I just wish there were more. Now, the bass. Okay, let me take you back to last year when Steve DiGiorgio was confirmed as the bass player on this album. I posted on YouTube and asked you guys, are we going to hear some fretless wizardry? No! If there's anything that truly disappointed me, it's the lack of bass riffs slash solos and the complete absence of the Giorgio magic. Now it's understandable because he wasn't part of the creative process, he was quickly brought in and just had to re-record Dave Ellefson's parts. Just imagine how this album would have sounded if he were there from the beginning. But still, the only 2 times we truly got to hear bass were on Night Stalkers when he played a one-note riff with a pick, and on Mission to Mars where he played a normal riff again with a pick. That wouldn't have been different if Ellefson were there. Next, diversity. Huge thumbs up to the band for being very versatile at a point in their career where most other bands would just be repeating themselves. We heard acoustic guitars, ambiances, maybe keyboards were used too, and of course, rapping. Yup, that was a big move. There are many elements of other genres and even some elements of other metal subgenres, like the breakdown on Will Be Back. Basically, Megadeth did a lot of new things without going too far and shocking the fans, because at this point they obviously expect classic Megadeth, because this could very well be their last record. The thing I disliked the most is the fillers and the underwhelming songs, Junkie, Sacrifice, and Celebutante. This is the same mistake Megadeth has made on nearly every other record. There's always this one song that makes you think, what the hell is this? One last thing I'm going to point out is the moderate duration. It's not a long album, it's not a short album, it's somewhere in the middle. The longest track is 6:39, and I had no problem listening to all of it. Final words. The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead could be Megadeth's final effort. And if it is, then it is the best possible closure. It's got its highs and lows, definitely more ups than downs. There are many highlights where Megadeth showed great improvement, maturity, and progress, while there are other spots where they were unable to impress. Of course, recent events played a factor in determining the band's fate and creative future, but as always, Megadeth managed to come back stronger than ever. Thank you very much, that's all I got to say about this album. What are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and watch more videos. Have fun and take care. I'll see you next time. Dogs of Chernobyl is probably the song I was excited to hear the most. Don't remember why, maybe the intro riff captivated me or the lyrical topic, but it disappointed me.